And I was really pumped to find out that I was going to talk to Sean Hogan today. How's it going, man?
Very good, Shallow. It's excellent to be here with you.
You have been doing music forever, and I've been doing music forever, and I don't think this is our first official chat. So who's avoiding who? That's what I want to know. What's going on?
That is a good question. Yeah, let's get to know each other.
All right. Well, your name's Sean and I'm Shilo, so that's a good start. You
That's a good
sing a
start.
lot about vacation, and I take a lot of vacation.
Well, then I've got a few songs for you, my friend.
I think we should collaborate. You have a great vacation a selection of music. If you're going on vacation, you should check out Sean Hogan. Is it just because you
Yeah.
you like being south and tropical, or is it like those people who can't cook teach, those people who can't go on vacation sing about it?
Yeah, it's probably the latter more than the former. I hate to say. Uh, Ironically, though, I'm off on Thursday on a road trip heading down to California, and I haven't been there in about 7 years, so I'm looking forward to it. But the last couple of years I've been really lucky to go to some warm places. I'd never been to Mexico before I wrote the song Huatuco, and then people down there in southern Mexico heard it and brought me down, and we made a music video. So I'm thinking maybe I should write about some other parts of the
Oh,
world.
buddy, listen, I'm gonna
Yeah,
help you. That's a great
yeah,
idea.
that's a great idea. Hey, yeah, I know it's funny, and it is. I once heard James Taylor, the great American songwriter, say, "I think I write about 7 different songs, and then I keep writing those songs again and again." Like, I think what he was getting to really was 7 different themes,
Hmm.
and I think that can be true for myself, or is said to be true for myself to some extent. When I look at the body of work now over 20 something years, and songs like Dream Vacation and Travel Plans, it's like, yeah, but that's all right by me. It is fun, and it's fun to imagine these places. But it's really kind of surreal to have the universe kind of go, okay, well, you put this out there, and now we're going to make it happen. Yeah.
How's your Spanish? My wife and I are right now. We're trying to learn Spanish. We're using Duolingo, the app.
Oh,
Have you mastered the language?
I have not mastered it, but I am getting a little better at it, Shiloh. I'm looking at it down here in my office, and I have to get back to it. But my wife and I bought the Rosetta
Yeah.
Stone Latin American Spanish, and it's great. I've gone through a little bit of it, but going and immersing yourself in the country, I found in southern Mexico. I was there 3 times in the past, year and a couple of months, and my Spanish got better all the time. But please don't put me on the spot and start talking to me
Well,
in Spanish.
I mean, I went from like, and this just is a matter of a 6 8 weeks, whatever it's been. I went from a guy who knew how to say dos cervezas por favor to much more than that. So I feel like we're growing. Maybe our next interview we'll do with Spanish more.
Yeah, that's a great idea. We should try that. There's a song that I'm recording currently, and I guess I've got about 65% of the way into it, for the new album that I'm working towards, my seventh studio album. And I wrote it after my first trip to Mexico, and I came back after making a music video for my song Huatuco in early November of 2017, and I wanted to call my mom and tell her about my trip to Mexico and to Huatuco specifically. And I had a really bad head cold that kind of came like the day before we left Mexico. And so I waited for that to pass. Well, the day I felt, okay, I should give my mom a call and tell her about Mexico. My mom had passed away that morning. And so I never got to tell her about Mexico. Her health had been failing. And so that was November 12th of 2017. And the day after that, I wrote a song. I didn't plan on writing a song, but it came through me, as some songwriters will say sometimes. And it's a very strong tune, I believe, one of my better songs. And it's called Indelible. But the chorus idea is an indelible impression you left upon my soul. And the next time I was in Mexico was a few months after that, in February, into Espanol, and sung the chorus at a couple of shows in Spanish, and people started clapping, and it was really cool. So indelible became indeleble, una impression indeleble. And yeah, and then I went on a radio station and I told my story in Huatuco, this, you know, extremely all Spanish, like I had an interpreter there. And it was really something to be telling this story, because it was connected to the song, and the song was connected to, obviously, some deep feelings of affection and remembrance. But so this is one of the new songs of my new album, and it's interesting getting back to the language. You know, how language, the more I think that if, and I'm not a spring chicken, but I think the more that we can learn different languages, it just enhances your life so much, because there's so many different ways to express feelings, but it's universal. And so to be singing the song Indelible in Mexico and having people respond to it, because they realize all of a sudden in the chorus breaks out in Spanish, you know. So now I'm talking with friends of mine there who played with me, musicians, and they're translating the verses with me, and I want to do actually a version of the song that will go out next fall in Mexico for the Day of the Dead by a Mexican band there, of this song. So it's kind of exciting, because you know, we're all the same in so many ways, and to see where this goes is very interesting to me.
Do you find country music is really growing as a genre, not just in Canada, US? I mean, you see a lot of Europe now embracing it. And how about like Mexico? They are starting to embrace country music, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. For sure. You know, there's country music. There's music videos networks in Mexico that you can see when you're there on television.
Are you saying there's a country music network that plays country music videos in Mexico?
I know, you got to go there, man. Apparently, you've got to go to a few places. You got to go to England and Australia before you can find it in Canada.
I still love the fact that on our guide it's still called CMT. Sorry, I don't want to call anybody out, but I still think that's hilarious.
I know it is. It's really something else, isn't it? And you know, it was no secret to everybody that it stopped being that a decade or more ago. Yeah. And yet they just let it go. They let it just like.
No one's gonna notice. No one's gonna notice that we play. We're still playing Reba. We're just not playing Reba videos.
She's a country singer, so doesn't that count? I don't know. It was bizarre. I just thought it was like it was on life support there of some kind, and yet nobody wanted to talk about it. Exactly. You know, the fact is, there's no music on that. It's
kind of like the family member that everyone just goes, "Shh, we don't talk about." Listen, on Thanksgiving, we're not going to mention Uncle Ralph, all right? So shh, don't mention. No.
Yeah, that's.
I'm lucky to be able to interview a lot of different people in different parts of their career, and I get to interview a lot of people who are just starting out. You said 7 studio albums in and over 20 years in the business. First, do you have any advice that you would give someone watching that maybe is just starting out? What's a cool piece of advice from Sean Hogan for those people who maybe are just a year or 2 or 3 into this?
Oh, that's a good question. I think they're a year or 2 or 3 into this. If what you mean by into this is they're recording their first album, and I hate to qualify things, but I've always been like that. Like, if that's what that means, then they've obviously had a strong interest before they got to this point of being into this with their first album. So I can only kind of relate to it myself in that when I was 13 or 14, I built a drum set out of cardboard, and my dad got the clue that, okay, he's playing this drum set out of cardboard that he made. Maybe we'll get him a mix match kit. So I'd like to think that somebody who's into it right now for a year and a half has maybe been into music pretty seriously for a long time. So they've got a commitment there. And they'll have to weather a lot. I mean, I went to music industry arts at Fanshawe College, studied music business, engineering, music business. Realized I didn't want to be an engineer. I was more of an artist. I went to Humber College in Toronto, studied jazz, vocal minor. Was told by the vocal minor teacher that my voice was too country sounding.
Really?
Oh yeah, I was too nasal. He actually had everybody put their hands up. Can someone tell me what characteristic is in Sean's voice right now? And so, all the hands go up. Nasality? Yes, there's nasality. Now, can someone tell me what kind of music we would find nasality in? And, the hands go up. Country music? Yes. And we don't want that in this class.
Oh, man.
And I, basically, this was the pot calling the kettle black, because this guy would sit down at the piano and tell us he's going to sing an old Duke Ellington jazz tune and sound like an opera singer, because he was an opera singer. But anyway, I didn't stick with that class, and I moved to the West Coast with my drums and my lyrics and knowledge of music. And I started playing guitar when I was 25, and started writing the songs and teaching the songs to the guys in the band that I put together to play the songs that I couldn't competently play on the guitar while I sang from the drums. Then I became strong enough at that. So I think if you're into this for a year and a half, you've been into it longer than that, hopefully. And it's going to take a really strong sense of passion and purpose to stay with it. Now, the music industry has changed the last 20 years a lot with the advent of access to internet. A lot of recording studios don't exist anymore that were just fantastic heritage recording studios. But a lot of people think they can do it out of their house or the basement. Some people can, but it might not be good enough, right, for production, competitive sounds. But I think you got to stick with it, and you got to get out there, for years and years and years. I went to the CCMAs, and I was lucky to win a couple of those. But that's not the be-all and the end-all either. You got to be in it for yourself, for your own reasons. Reach out to the world around you. I just released music to Ireland and Australia in the last 6 weeks, and I'm talking to people in the U.S. I've had albums out down there. It's the world is getting smaller, but it is still a big world, and you need to embrace the whole world. There's only so much Canada is going to be able to do for you, and I think you just have to decide is how bad you want it, because you're going to have years where you're like I was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer a little over 7 years ago. I'm 7 years clear of cancer now. I've been on the road playing bars again for the last 5-6 years. That's my income. Like, that's what I do. And I have songs at the radio. People know me. People hear me. This whole thing with Mexico is great. Australia, Ireland. But, and then all of a sudden, by the grace of God, I got so much radio airplay on satellite that I was contacted by an agency in Washington, D.C., that I was in the top 20 last year, 2018, number 18, with the most international airplay of a new artist.
That's incredible.
And there was nobody else there from Canada but one other act from Vancouver. 15 American acts, 3 British acts, and
that's great.
It's bizarre, but it's wonderful. I think you need to be dedicated. That's my only answer, is you got to be dedicated.
I love that. So people are going to wait for your new album. Do you have an ETA on that real quick? Do you have an idea when that might be ready, or are you still just kind of plugging away?
Yeah, well, I've got 13 songs underway. I want to put at least 11 new songs on there. I believe I'll have it out by late summer. That's my goal. It was, something that has taken a couple years longer to get out than I wanted to, but it definitely is coming together now. And we'll have it out by late summer, and hopefully another fun song out to radio. Can't promise it'll be about going to some place that's warmer, but it'll be. I've got one in mind. For,
at least we'll always know where you want to travel next for free, Sean. Whenever
That's right. Sean's singing about Egypt.
Yeah. Man, his wife must want to go to Paris. I don't.
Yeah,
anyway.
no kidding. Oh, that's true. We've got a big wooden sign in our living room that says how many 100 kilometers. How many 100 kilometers it is to Paris? But
that's a hint.
Yeah,
that's a
well,
hint.
thank you for the support there, Shilo. I appreciate it, and
Yeah.
you know, and I really do. And thank you for taking the time to call me.
Listen, we're gonna chat again when the album comes out. Sean Hogan, thank you very much for doing this, man. Now go write a song for you and I to go jet somewhere, maybe Vegas.
Yeah, Vegas would be great. Yeah.
All right.
You know, I've always wanted to go to Cuba too, so maybe I can work in Vegas to Cuba.
I go there a couple times a year. You and I will go. Yeah, we'll go.
Oh, that'd be awesome. Let's do it.
Thanks, Sean. Have a good day.
You too. Thanks. Bye.
See ya.